Kobbie Mainoo finally knows his levels as he has named a super Manchester United legend as his ideal midfield partner. Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb, and here is a quick update on Manchester United. As of course, we do count down to the team news that should be coming tomorrow ahead of our game against Bournemouth on Saturday. Well, it's Kobbie again topping headlines for his man of the match performance as we do manage to hold off stubborn Liverpool in our last encounter. Now, Kobbie Mainoo has been, of course, asked a couple of questions about his career at Manchester United, and he has come out to state that his dream or ideal midfield partner is the none other than the super legend Paul Scholes. Now, for me, that shows me one thing, that this boy is growing in confidence. I've told you here before that after that unforgettable debut for England, this boy's confidence was always going to be lifted by ages and miles. And we are beginning to see that in his interviews. Him talking about Paul Scholes is him putting himself at a level of one of the greatest midfielders European football has ever seen. Not even just English football or Man United. Now, for me, for Kobbie to come out and say that, for me, it's a mark of a confident young boy who I think, for me, at his age, at 18, I don't think Paul Scholes was anywhere as good as Kobbie. And I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that Kobbie is going to become a legend like Paul Scholes. I mean, to become a legend, you need a certain level of longevity. He has shown us consistency, but longevity is years. Do it for decades now. Scholes did it. But at 18, you can sit back if you are here. What was Paul Scholes as good as Kobbie at 18? Perhaps not. So it shows you that this boy has set his standards, and for me, it's a good thing to see. He has set his standards up so high, and you expect him to achieve the standards he set for himself because he has got the mentality, the humility, and probably the people around him to support him to be able to achieve that. So many players have shown potential. For example, Federico Macheda, who scored almost a similar goal that like Kobbie scored, and I mean, you saw a video flying around showing Macheda's goal and Kobbie Mainoo's goal against Liverpool. And there was a certain proper likeness between the two. But you can easily forget about Macheda now. You may not recall where he is or what became of him. But Kobbie seems to have his head come on his shoulders, and he's able to every day improve and learn better. Now, speaking of improving and learning, he was asked about Casemiro, and he says Casemiro has taught him a lot of things. He has learned a lot of things from Casemiro, but key among them is Casemiro's scanning. Guys, I think it comes with experience. What we see and what everyone, even Eric Ten Hag, noted about Casemiro, we can see it in his game, is how he sees that pass that not everyone else in the middle sees. He's a bit ahead of the rest. Even his tackles, you can see that he's ahead of the rest of the rest of the players, that he anticipates where a ball is going to go. He anticipates movements, and his scanning is slightly above everyone else. So meaning that's why when he's in the game, so with Lisandro Martinez, when these players are in the game, you see that the levels of everyone are going to be lifted. Why? Because their levels, their thinking, their scanning, and everything is ahead of everyone around them. So the other players have got to step up their game to try and match them if they are going to play with them at the same level. So Kobbie says that's the key thing he's learning from Casemiro. And for me, I think that's a good thing to note from Kobbie, a good lesson to note from Kobbie. That for a young boy like him, having this season playing with Casemiro is going to give him, and we know that Casemiro is probably not going to be there for him to learn from so long. But even in training, he says the way Casemiro goes into tackles, the way the passes he plays, at times if you're not at his levels, you will not see where he's going to pass the ball, and you will miss out. So you've got to step up your game to be able to match him and play with him. Otherwise, you're going to be left out. And I think that's one of the problems that some of the players have playing with Casemiro. So it's a very interesting observation to come from this 18-year-old kid, and people can talk about what a player like Kobbie will learn from Casemiro, and you may not see it clear, obvious. It may not be obvious for you, but it is there, and I love the fact that he's saying it himself. And Casemiro himself was also speaking well about him, saying that this boy is going to be a gem for generations and generations to come at Man United. Why? Because he played with him and tested his standards. And if you can match him already at 18, for a player who was considered at his prime as the best in his role in the world, for him to be able at 18 to come and match with him, and he's not leaving him behind, it shows you how good this boy is and how much potential he has got. And that's exactly what Casemiro adds to this team. That's why he's always needed in that midfield for Manchester United. He just lifts everyone around him, even if he's not personally playing at his best because of course, his aging, injuries, and all. Still, his IQ and levels will always be way ahead of the rest, and that's where debates about whether he should leave in the summer or not can come on and start, because certain people are feeling one more season would be good, would come in handy for Kobbie to learn from him. There are things that Kobbie can still learn from him if he stayed the season longer with him. But of course, with Ineos, perhaps they need the young blood to come in quick and get this whole rebuild rolling. So it's an interesting scenario situation that we find ourselves in as Manchester United, seeing that we've got the best aging in Casemiro, the best in the role aging, and we've got the best upcoming kid in the same position. Is it early days to separate them? He still has a contract running. Do we stick to the contract, keep him around for at least one more season, and just to support Casemiro, rather just to support Kobbie, because that's the sacrifice. The one player who is going to, I said it here before, that Kobbie Mainoo will most likely send Casemiro to Saudi Arabia, or he will actually save his contract at Man United, keep him there, because there are things that Kobbie Mainoo can learn from Casemiro, and perhaps there are not so many other players. The Onanas we are being linked with do not will not bring that dimension to add on to this kid. And the reality is, he's the player we want to build Man United around. Kobbie Mainoo is the player we need to build this club around, and we do. We have Garnacho, we've got Hoyland, we've got all these promising young players, but the key player we need to build the team around is Kobbie Mainoo, because his levels are way above everyone else. So before we sign any player, we need players who are going to play well with him, or players who are going to improve him. Now, Casemiro improves him. There are not so many on the market you can say they will improve him. So do you keep him around a little longer to improve him to a level that we expect him, the Paul Scholes level that we expect him to get to, that he's setting himself up for, because he's putting his bar up, saying, my dream partner is Paul Scholes. So if that's your dream partner, you've got to be able to play to the levels of him. And we all know where Paul Scholes ranks in the history of Man United midfielders, or English midfielders. So it's a very interesting situation or scenario that Manchester United is in. But that said, you love the fact that the focus now is beginning to rain down on Kobbie Mainoo, and it's clear that the club now is looking at grooming him and molding him into the leader of the new generation, the leader of the new lot. For me, I think it's very important. What next I need to see for me is him being tried out in different positions, because we've not yet, I don't think we've still defined and seen the best of Kobbie because of how we play him. My thinking is Eric Ten Hag has got to try out things and redefine him, and see what more he can get out of this player, because his thinking, his playing, his physicality, everything in his game is different, that I strongly believe he can even surpass the levels that were set by Paul Scholes, who is probably the man who sets the standards when it comes to midfielders in the Premier League, or at Manchester United to be specific. So very important stuff there for this Man United club. But that said, I think the future is clearly bright. Now the debates are beginning again to go on around Carrington. Should we let go of Casemiro? Should we keep him? Everything is for Kobbie. If Kobbie says keep him for me to learn a thing or two from him, probably Casemiro could be staying a little longer. But that doesn't mean that we will not go into the summer and sign a holding midfielder. We'll still sign a player who will play more of the minutes, but Casemiro will be there in training to help these players, coming in a couple of games, part of the rotation, and all that. So let's wait and see how it goes. My name is Webb. This is the United Horse Sport. Subscribe.